This is a story of an attack by a dark force entity upon a young man in his teens. And the channeling was received on August 16, 2017. And here's the background to the story. I received a call from a friend of mine, and she said that a friend of hers was frantic because her teenage son was suicidal. And she wondered if it would be okay if she gave my phone number to her friend. And of course I said yes. So I received a call right away from her friend, from the mother of the teenage boy. And she was very, very upset. She said that the boy was suicidal and he was experiencing all kinds of problems. And she wanted to know if I could help her in any way to figure out what the problem was. And so I did, and I did a reading for her. And the interesting thing is that something very strange happened after the reading was over and after I made contact with her. And so I want to tell the story of what happened. But the reading that I did, first of all, she sent me a photo of the young man. And in the photo, I could clearly see the dark force entity perched on his shoulder. He was kind of squatting down in the photo, and I could see it very, very clearly on his left shoulder. And so I knew he had something there. And the mother was frantic because, of course, when you're a mother, you're too close to the situation. Even though my friend is an energy worker and she works on a lot of people and she's a great healer, but she was too close to the situation to understand what was going on with her son. So I did the reading for her, and I'm going to read what came through for her, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about why this was such a very interesting case. So the reading came through as Dear Beloved Ones, and I'm assuming that it was his higher self that was speaking, addressing itself to me and to his mother. And so the reading says, you have succeeded in reaching the aspect of C that resides in the sixth density, far, far removed from the self of the physical world. C's soul essence is safe here with us. None of the dark forces are able to access him here. Our vibrational frequency at this stage of soul evolution is so light, it's light as a feather. So much so that we have no need of bodies or physical essence as you know it on Earth. Here, C exists as a pure divine spark essence, and we are not clouded by any energies that are dark and dense. We will speak from C's heart chakra. At present, it is bound up within the entrails of a dark one, who squeezes and squeezes upon it so as to keep any love energy from penetrating and causing C to remember who he is and why he has come. The dark one that has C's life force bound up tight is causing utter chaos inside of the physical body and brain of C, and it has led him to a state of utter confusion and overwhelming fear. The entity feeds off of this fear, and this is how it sustains itself. It could not exist without this fear and emotional energy. This is what is draining C of his life force and vitality. This dark one has a mission, and that mission is to keep C from waking up to who he is and why he has come. This dark one is in fear for its life because it knows and believes that if it fails in its mission, it will be punished by those higher up in the dark hierarchy. It has never had its own body and believes without the attachment to C, it would fail to exist. And this in turn would mean that it failed in its mission. If you do not find a way to transform it and send it to the light where it belongs, and if it is forced out of C without experiencing this transformation, it will only continue in its attempts to complete its own mission. So you see, we have here raging in C an example of the principle as above, so below. And what we mean by that is the spiritual battle that's taking place in your world right now is being metaphorically carried out within C as dark forces battle for his soul. I can give this direction to you. If you wish to heal C permanently from this influence, you must clear yourselves of all negativity and make every thought a loving thought as you proceed in the work. And here is the difficult part. You must have love for the entity as well, because it is a poor lost soul that was created by the one infinite creator, and it has lost its way. If you really seek to do God's healing work, you must conquer your fear and any negativity and help release the lost one into the light. There are powerful forces in the light who will be there to assist you. From our vantage points, we will continue to persuade C to consent to the procedure to accept the healing. Once that is completed, you must make arrangements for the protocol. This is only the beginning of the work you will do. Many must be rescued before the event comes to pass, or they will be doomed to repeat this density for many more millennia to come. And then it's signed with love, respect, gratitude, and blessings. And I think what they're referring to there is the fact that we are at the end of the 26,000-year great cycle, and we will be moving into very soon the age of Aquarius. So I think that's the event that they are talking about. And this event has been foretold in the scriptures of many, many different belief systems. The interesting thing is that after I sent this to the mother and we chatted a lot, and I was able to pick up a lot of pieces of what probably was C's problem. One of them, I'm pretty sure, was that C had been raped, and this is probably one of the ways that the entity was able to enter his energy field. But in addition to that, I figured out something very, very strange, and that is, and this took place over several weeks' time that we were trying to figure this all out. In the meantime, C was hospitalized, of course, because he was suicidal. And so his mother and I were trying to figure out what was going on. And so the interesting thing is that the mother is an energy worker, and she works on people all of the time, as I do as a Reiki master. And there was somebody that came to see her that tried to attack her, but was unable to because she's a very pure energy worker, and the entity was unable to attack her and attach to her, so it then went to the son. And the son at that time was dabbling in drugs and satanic music, and so it wasn't very difficult for the entity to enter him and to enter his energy field. And along with the trauma from being raped, the entity was pretty firmly entrenched in this young man. So the interesting thing is that after we pursued talking about all of this, and his mother consented to me treating him remotely because he was in the hospital at the time, one of the things that I figured out was that the entity came from somebody that this person had worked with, and it ended up being one of her neighbors. And when this person heard about me and heard about the work that I do, she wanted to meet me. So this woman, the mother, and I went to lunch one day, and she brought her neighbor along. And I knew right away that there was something really wrong with the neighbor, because the neighbor kept telling me over and over and over again that she wanted me to work with her, that she was having a lot of struggles, that she was having a lot of problems. And when we were talking, she revealed that she was connected by blood, connected to someone that was involved in the entire Johnny Gosch scandal and the Franklin scandal, the pedophile scandal that went on in the 1990s. And if you don't know about that, you can look up what happened in the Franklin scandal, because that's a whole nother long story. Anyway, to make a long story short, when the lunch was over, this woman hugged me and she pressed her hand down really hard on top of my head while she was hugging me. And I could feel something really, really, really dark there. And I know that all the way home, I kept saying prayers of protection, and I could feel that she tried to give me something. I don't think she was aware at all, but she tried to give me something when she did that. And all the way home, I had to battle the dark forces to keep it off of me. So what I then did, when I got home, was I did a reading, and this is what came out. It said, her name started with T, and it said, with regards to T, there is a huge dark tree trunk-like thing behind her eyes. It has many roots that are attached to it and reach out to draw in dark energies and entities. It runs from T to her husband and then to the witch. So the husband was having an affair with a dark occultist, a black magician, a witch. And so because he was having this affair with this woman and she was involved in dark occultism, then he then was attached to her, and he brought that home to his wife. It says it connects them all and many others into a network. It keeps the victims from being able to see their I am presence and keeps them disconnected from their higher self. They can't see or discover who they are. It is how she controls their thoughts, meaning the witch. It is connected to C. It is what sends him dark, negative thoughts. It enters through the eyes. This is the cause for the dark triangle of dark energy that is visible in C's photo. We released one entity from C, but the main problem is connection to the tree trunk because it takes any opportunity to take in wandering negative energies. The witch has connections to negative ETs, especially the kind that do the bidding of humans who can conjure and control them. The cure for this: you can try to focus on dissolving the tree trunk by turning it into a gelatinous substance, which can then be washed away by the violet flame and the archangels. The problem is it will keep reforming as long as T remains attached to the husband, who is attached to the witch and has no desire to be free of her. If the husband was to unattach himself forever, he could be free of her and the connection would be broken. All you can do now is to work on dissolving the tree trunk and putting a boundary around yourself and the roots so they do not enter. And encourage her to seek help for either getting away from him or getting help with him. As far as C goes, work on dissolving the root that is keeping him attached to her and her minion ET beings. The key is to develop the third eye and reconnect it to the higher self. The archangels will be with you as you pursue help for both T and C. The process will take time. It is as the oracle said many years ago, know thyself and you shall know the universe and the gods. And it was signed by the White Lodge Brotherhood. And so after I received this, I typed it up. And the interesting thing was, it was on a Sunday and I was still in bed. And so I was in bed, I had the covers pulled up, I had my computer on my lap, and I was typing it up. And just as I sent it to the mother and closed my computer, I looked down in bed, and there was a huge wolf spider just getting ready to crawl on me in bed. And of course, I kind of freaked out, and immediately I knew that I should not kill the spider because I knew who sent it and where it came from. And if I were to kill the spider, then what would happen would be that the black magic would be turned on me. So I ran downstairs and I got 2 plastic cups and I trapped the spider in the cups and I took it outside and I released it. I knew that I shouldn't kill the spider because, again, that would have negative consequences for me and then the karma would be on me. And I immediately called up the mother and I told her what happened. And she said, yes, spiders are around all the time. They're in C's hospital room. They are in his room at night. And then she shared with me that her husband had slept in C's room while C was gone in the hospital. And he had seen this black winged thing in the middle of the night that totally freaked him out. And they, of course, ended up eventually selling that house and moving far, far away. And it took a long time before the young man to eventually be healed and cleared from all of this. But it just goes to show that there are people in the world who, just as much as I use my abilities for healing and clearing people, there are people who practice black magic, and they do send curses and hexes, and they do try to attack you if you are trying to stop them from what they are doing. And so I thought this was really an interesting experience, and I haven't had anything like that happen since that. That was several years ago, although I haven't really had much time in the last couple of years to really work with anybody. But I do keep in touch with the mother, and I do know that C is now okay. He went through a lot of trials and travails, but he is eventually healed from the experience. So this then is another example of why we need to be aware of these forces that are working in the world and what we can do to combat them.